And the irony is, even though you could laugh, women were saying that they felt for the first time they were taken seriously.
If people interpret and think that we've interpreted authenticity as literalism, then I would say, well, let's try and explain this.
Yeah, this was not exactly literal. Yeah, so Viva La Vulva looks like a sort of quite simple and just upbeat, and as some said, like gratuitous vulva party, which it is, but it came from a much deeper, darker place. It came from a place where women completely ignored that part of their body, or just straight hated it, felt terrible about it, and they were saying or feeling things like, it's hideous, it's loose, it's a bit baggy, it's saggy, it's disgusting, it's kind of a ham sandwich, it's ugly as fuck. And there's many more, but we were so struck by this level of hatred that you don't find in men and their penises, and there's many, reasons for insecurities, but I'm not gonna go there. I just think this level of self-hatred was so strong. If we wanted to get women to just feel allowed to take care of themselves, we had to find, a way of making them feel so diametrically, and such a diametrically opposite feeling. We had to creatively find something crazy to dynamite the shame so powerfully that it would leave a big, fat space for self-love and self-knowledge. So yeah, singing vulvas.
So now I'm asking you all to put yourself in my shoes. You're the Global Marketing Director for Feminine Care at SCT, a global health and hygiene company with 40,000 employees, and you walk into a stakeholder meeting where you need to sell in Viva La Vulva. And imagine the kind of questions I got. So one said, so Tanya, you are wanting us to sign off an ad that's about vulvas? And then somebody else said, and what do you mean? Did you just say that they're singing? So it's an ad about vulvas and they're singing. Are you serious? And ultimately the response was, well, let's just say that they're moving along the music and in sync with the women who own them.
It was, we had to be loose about it. And what's interesting is, even though this world seemed quite, crazy, and some said sacrilegious, it made us think, well, if it is sacrilegious, how do you explain that something sacred is also hated and demeaned? Because usually you'd think it's the opposite. So we thought of it more as, how do we re-sacralize this part of the body and make it iconic in our own way and reconcile women with that part? And the irony is, even though you could laugh, women were saying that they felt for the first time they were taken seriously. So much so that some were asking for a second fanny. And when you think that we started with women not wanting any, wanting two, it's not about results.
I think that there is an important point there that authenticity is not just a descriptor of a reality or an emotion or telling people what to feel. It's about the real authenticity is how you can make somebody feel something, feel those true emotions that you want. And I think that is in the craft of it. But, you do something, and then I think that, for all of us and everybody involved in Viva La Vulva, I don't think that they would ever have imagined when they started out in advertising that they'd get an official letter being told that your cupcakes are too erotic. That's a career highlight, I think.
Yeah, so we were like, what do you mean? And it was interesting because you're talking about your crazy world that you've built, but you're touching the real world in a really uncomfortable way. So suddenly they were trying, the broadcasting authorities were trying to be helpful and to make concessions. So they were like, okay, we'll approve this and this and that, but can you at least make these drawings more symmetrical? Can you make this conch shell a bit more beige in the middle? And do you really need that little button thing on the cake? And we were like, it's interesting because it sounds like you're asking for just executional tweaks, but actually there's a name for what you're asking us to do. Because lightening the color of the shell, that's called bleaching, and it's a huge issue. And neatening up the vulvas, that's called labiaplasty. And removing the clitoris from the cupcake, that's called female genital mutilation. And we're not going to perform that on our cupcake.